All right, hello, we are back. This is part 2 of this big giant score of vintage frame building stuff I got. I uploaded the last video yesterday. Just go this way. I didn't have enough lighting on in here, and so it's a little bit dark. Which is sad, I realized I was editing it. But it was a cool video on all the dropouts, fork crowns, bottom bracket shells, and lug sets I got. And this video is on the rest of everything, which is tubes and tubes and this box of tubes. In the last video, I think we just showed off like 2 tubes. This one he has labeled as 9.7. I bet it's not. I bet it's 9.6 or even 8.6. I think it's a seat tube, but they actually mired it as a down tube. I was going to get out a seat post to see if it fit in here, but I forgot. Whatever. I'll play with this more later. This is all, I think, all nice old Columbus tubes. There might be some other nice old tubes here, but it's all good stuff. This one is labeled 28.6, it's labeled 620, and it's labeled 1.7 Columbus. So modern tubes are nice. Usually paint one end. One end means it's the thick end or the thin end, or has the long butt or the short butt or whatever. This one doesn't have that. Inside the tubes are kind of dirty, so I might have to clean them out with a brush a little bit before finding the butts. But 620, 1.7, that could be a good down tube for a heavier rider or touring bike or anything. Or maybe by 1.7 he also means it's really like 9.6 or whatever. He said to take all of his measurements with a grain of salt, and plus has a crappy caliper like I have. But that might be another seat tube, might be a down tube or a top tube. This is also Columbus, labeled 9.6, 28.6 by 620. Ew. Grease is, the old grease is in there and sticky. So again, who knows? Another top or down or seat. Oh. Here's 3 of them taped together. Has Columbus with a question mark on it. They're all top tubes. So 1-inch top tubes, maybe Columbus. I don't know, that's 3. That's 3 bikes right there. Here's another one. This one is actually labeled seat tube, 9.7, 28.6. So that means it is probably a single butt. Usually seat tubes have a single butt. They're a few inches at the bottom. Probably can't see in this one either. Yeah, all the old grease is all goobered up everywhere. Looks gross. Usually have a few inches at the bottom, which would be the 0.9 tenths of a millimeter. So it's a little thicker for where you braze it into the bottom bracket shell. A little thicker where you braze, a little tougher, less likely to heat distort or warp or break. You know, brazing in softens the metal a little bit. So you want a little thicker, and the 0.7 would be the entire rest of the tube. So you can get your seat post inside. So I can cut this down, so I can leave this fully long for like a 62 centimeter frame. Or cut it down for 58 or 56 or 54 or 53 or whatever. So that's at least 3 tubes. It might be seat tubes, depending on how I measure this. Here's 2 more stuck together. Both say 25.4. Here's some duct tape on this one. What does this say? 25.4. So really the only tube on most vintage bikes that's 25.4 is the top tube. The down tube and the seat tube are usually 28.6. And then, you know, chain stays and seat stays and head tubes and all that are different. Here's another one, 9.6, 28.6 Columbus. So seat or down or top. So often down tubes and oversized top tubes are the exact same tube, but the seat tube is a different tube because it's a single butt where everything else is double butted and be 9 tenths on both sides and then 7 tenths or 6 tenths, whatever in the middle. So these ones are either going to be down tubes or going to be seat tubes, depending on if both sides are butted or not. This says 0.6 point something, 28.6 down tube. Sometimes I can tell the edge is just so thin that it's definitely a C-tube. I think that this is one of those. So I think so far we're at least 3 complete main triangles. I did also show this tube in the last video, just for a second, just to have one shown off. These are some giant 1.5-inch tubes that were flattened, mushed down to make tandem boom tubes, the bottom tubes. And a lot of guys would also take these and weld them airtight and put in little drain peacocks. You could fill this full of all your camping fuel. So you could just hold your little camping stove up and drain this in. It's a good way of carrying that extra liquid weight inside the tube. That was a cool thing. This is a Columbus ale tube set. I don't really know anything about it. He said that this was a straight gauge tube set. So probably good for touring bikes or cheaper bikes or early mountain bikes and stuff. But I feel like we should look at it anyways, without me spilling it all over the floor. So it's got a nice fork blade in it. This is a completely round stay. So it's probably the chain stay. No dimples, no nothing. It's not round oval round, it's just round. It's also more heavy duty. This might make a great track fork blade. Here is what is probably, that might be a button here. It's a little dirty, it's hard to see. This other straight gauge, it probably wouldn't be butted. No matter what, the C tube is going to be butted. It's probably the down tube. This one feels thicker. Maybe this is the down tube. Again, completely straight gauge seat tubes or down tubes would be the same. I think they'd be 9/10 all the way through, which would take a 28/6 seat post. It's basically anytime you get a bike with a 28/6 seat post, it's probably because it's a straight gauge seat tube. Here's the top tube. One inch. I can't really see any butts. It's got a pretty nice, pretty skinny chain stays. Not chain stays, seat stays. Pretty nice, pretty skinny seat stays. There's some other tubes in here. Another round chain stay. Another nice oval fork blade. And then it should probably be a head tube too. Oh, 2 more tubes in here. Several more tubes in here. So this looks like 2 different head tubes. Same length. But I think one is thinner than the other. So often you Philip brace frames use a slightly thicker head tube. If you use lug ones, you can use a slightly thinner one. Here's a real pretty, still wrapped in plastic, so it's all silver and nice Columbus 1-inch threaded steerer tube with a little Columbus stamp in it. You can only kind of see the bottom of the stamp. The top wasn't in there too deep. And it's totally smooth on the inside. It's like impossible to get a Columbus steer tube anymore. It's not rifled on the inside. SLX style or whatever. But all right, we got basically the whole bike. This just needs some lugs and braze-ons and bottom bracket and stuff. I'll see if I can get it back in this box and not spill it everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful old bike stuff. Oh, this is so cool. It's still in the box. I wonder if I have a decal for that. Okay, so that's the free stuff. Here's the stuff that's still in the box. This is a really nice old crown. I actually needed one of these for someone. Oh, it says Zeus on it. It says Zeus 2020 or something like that. Cool. Zeus crown. Brazed onto a steerer. It's clean. It's got a nice long steerer too. Cleaned up and ready to go on a big bike. like? Boy. Here is a single pre-raked blade that's already pre-slotted. I don't know if you see that in a lot of Columbus stuff. I feel like you see that in a lot of rental stuff. It's like the tube's like domed and then it's slotted. I think one of the way they make these tubes is actually use like a solid chunk of steel with a hole drilled in it and a big giant rod. There's a big flat piece of steel and push that rod through into the hole, drawing this whole tube from a big flat piece into the shape of this tube, and that's why they end up with the dome at the center. I know that's how they did a lot of the bottom bracket shells, the steel, stamped steel bottom bracket shells. Is cast it through, cut off the dome. Very cool and very weird. So a single fork blade. I wonder if there is a match. I think it says Columbus fork. Set it aside. See if we can find it. Here is what appears to be some head tube, probably, that is cut awkwardly on both ends. I usually like to leave the factory perfectly square cut on my head tube and put it into a bike and brace it on and then cut off the extra or whatever, to try and always keep one nice square cut. So this would have to be put like in a mill to recut, or I do have some machinist squares because I don't have a mill or a lathe right now. So what I usually do is take this and I will file it flat by eye and check on the machinist squares and file flat by eye and check on the machinist squares and file flat by eye. Maybe even put it against a square and rub it on some sandpaper to get this thing as flat as possible so it'll sit in the jig right, not be all crooked because the cut's all weird. You want your head tube to be a straight, not crooked. Here's a nice big oversized bit of tube. This is probably also head tube. I think this is thicker, so maybe it's for fillet brazing and stuff. I think the fillet braze one's a little thicker on the inside, but also on the outside, I think, so it doesn't fit lugs. You know, it's like the thicker one, because the inside has to still be reamed to the same size for your headset. Scout. Hey, look at this. Here is another Columbus legs. Columbus legs. This might be a match to this one, or might be a slightly different blade or something. We'll see what else we find. Pre-raked Columbus blade. That's cool with me. We will see. I wouldn't want to use ones that are different thicknesses or different steels or something. Here's a round, oval, round. You can see like a little pinch here. Round, oval, and then round again. So this would definitely be a chainstay. Already pre-slotted. Most modern builders now will, or even a lot of factory guys will pre-slot this with a machine with like a spinning cutoff wheel, kind of that's the same width at the dropout, and you can set it like, you know, the dropouts need to be in 7 degrees or whatever because the angle away from the bottom bracket shell and dropout to be straight, so it sits straight in the hub. A lot of guys don't, and the degrees are so mild. Like I hand cut all mine. I'll try and put a little English on it, little kind of degrees, but once it's all in and done, I always put my dropout alignment tool on and tweak the dropout another degree or 2 or whatever to make it sit flush on the hub. Almost every bike ever built is going to have the dropouts be slightly crooked. They're all going to get tweaked anyways. It's basically made for that. It doesn't really matter. People have so many weird opinions on how frames should be made and no one actually agrees. You know, one expert tell you can't braze a frame in a jig, and then you'll see a really famous frame builder, the Great Reputation, has built hundreds of frames, and we've all been ridden tens of thousands of miles, and none of them broke, and he fully brazes them all in the jig. But they say, don't braze in the jig, so you want to build in stresses. Like I tack all mine in the jig and take them out and fully braze them just in a park stand, just with the clamp lightly clamping with the middle of the top two, I braze in the middle, to let it heat and move a little bit and hope it all heats and comes back. So a lot of guys develop like a technique. I braze this joint at this angle first, and then come on the other side, and then do the sides, and then do, you know, like they have like a technique for doing that to try and get the frames to warp and come back. I made a hot rod frame for Model A once. Did the same thing. That's brazed in all the jigs. I set it all up on jack stands with levels all over it, like several levels everywhere running across the frame. Go weld on this side a little bit, and you see the level start to move, and switch over to the other side, weld it in a little bit, see the level come right back. Good times. Here is a fully round chainstay that has a dimple built into it. Here is another round, oval, round with a slot, but it is much skinnier than this one. It is a different stay. different tube set, different this or that, different. Here's another round oval round with no slot. Oh boy, we partying now. I don't have a big enough coffee table. Here's another pre-raked blade, but it is not domed or slotted or anything. I'm hoping for is pairs and matching things. Another little short head tube. This one's looks pretty flat. On at least that side. This side might have been cut pretty good, but not perfect. Another little short head tube. We've got 3 bikes worth, so hopefully I've got 4 or 5 head tubes now. Oh, here's another lug. It's kind of like a blank style one. You can carve and cut up yourself with the dumb ears. Put it in the bin with all the lugs. Here is another pre-raked fork blade. Ooh, this one might be an Imperial Oval. It looks... Oh yeah, check this out. So can you see the difference? The shape of these blades is kind of big and more egg-like. This one's way more oval. So this is for most standard stuff. The Imperial Oval is a different thing Reynolds did for a while. Maybe Columbus did some. Kaisei is doing them now. Kaisei makes a great Imperial Oval crown and is remaking the blades for vintage Imperial Oval crowns. I know a few of those crowns we saw were definitely the Imperial Oval. That is nerdy and cool. Hopefully there's another one of those. I've used the Kaisei ones a few times. Here is another round with a dimple. It does not match this one. Ha ha ha. It might be the same tube. The dimples are in different spots. This one's much bigger. It's like longer. Interesting. The trick is I'm trying to get these all matched up and then tape them together and label them if I'm positive they're the exact same blade. And then I'll still probably go weigh them and measure the thicknesses. You know, make sure the tapers start in the same spots to make sure they're really the same blade. So here is a oval fork blade that is not pre-raked. Here's another oval fork blade that is not pre-raked. They're the same color, they have the same amount of patina on them, the same length, and they have the exact same sort of casting marks in them from drawing them. So I am really guessing this is a match pair. But I'll weigh them all. You know, for different thicknesses or wall thicknesses or weird stuff, they will weigh slightly different. Here's another round oval round chainstay. It's got a little bit of a miter and a little bit of a pre-slot. Go in the pile. Here is another one that's already been cut up here for some reason and has a third giant style of dimple. It's really big and really long. Very interesting. Here is a couple of more fork blades for sure. Same amount of patina, same color, no visible casting marks, same length. These guys look like twinsies to me. Here is another set of round oval round. Put these with these other round oval rounds. These ones sure look like a pair. The same length, real skinny, gorgeous. Same taper, same length, same exact color and patina. Same casting mark in the same spot. I think these are a pair. Let's set them aside too. Here's some fork blades the tape's coming off of. It says Columbus, fork legs. 390, it's probably the length. Patina's the same. Color's the same, length. Everything about these is the same. I think they're a matching set. Way to tape it up. But you know, I'm sure I'll find some in here that are like definitely not a matching set that are taped together. Here's an interesting one. So this is a round, this is a fork leg, a regular fork leg. Is already mitered and brazed to drop out into. There's a tack of silver up here. So this might have got tacked or maybe decided it was slightly too short. For some reason, pulled it out and didn't finish brazing this fork. Almost read what it says on there. probably Columbus or something. So hopefully there's a match in here to this one. That'd be interesting. Because yeah, the end's all finished and nice. The guy got this from me, did get some tools. He got the frame jig from the guy. So if I said the guy called him and found some more parts to it to go get. We also got the guy's fork raking tool. I took a picture of it because it's so interesting and cool. It's got a big block. It's got just 2 wood blocks, not even V-grooves in them. And then just these C-channels with the bar in it. So you looks like you braze the whole fork together. You make sure the fork's straight, aligned, much easier to get the fork perfectly straight and make sure it's aligned. And then you stick these under those blocks and then use some sort of handle and rake the entire fork and both blades at once. I've seen that in some old Italian videos and things, so that's really cool. So I'm hoping there's another one of these, but there might not be. Maybe pull it, maybe it's too short, maybe I had to make another one, you know? Here is another silver Columbus steer tube. Ooh, this one is rifled for the XLX. You can't really tell, but it's like rifled like a gun. So there's like slight little metal lips in there that spin as they go down. I don't think it'll pick up on camera, but maybe you can see it a little bit. Rifled. So that's gorgeous and cool. Columbus still makes all the 1-inch threadless or threaded and threadless and all the sizes you want. Another steer tube. A lot of steer tubes for mid-size bikes. A bunch of long tubes on the top. Let's look at some of these long tubes on the top. So this is, they're both skinny. The edges look a little different. Oh, these are definitely different tubes. Okay. So this one is the gorgeous, I think these are Columbus SLs, where they're double tapered, top and bottom. I don't know if it did it. Anyways, in modern Columbus tubes, I think only the SL comes in this double taper. So you can't use a cap. You have to cut this and make a scoop or do your own thing. Help keep the bike extra light. It's an SL with Super Ligera for extra light. So this is cool. Shut that aside. Get my new carpet all rushed here. Here's a big one. This feels a little heavier. It's kind of a bigger size. These are definitely, yeah, you can see this one's like more of a mountain bike or touring bike, or modern-y oversized bike would be like this size, and this is kind of a skinny road one. What else we got? What else we got? This is also a skinny road one. Do they match? They do not. Definitely different lengths. Oh boy. We're in it now. Ooh, this one's heavy. So it's oversized as well. He's already finished the end. Looks like he's mitered it and brazed a thick piece of metal in there for the seat stays scoop or cap. It might be a scoop or it might be coming modern style up to like your seat tube and fitting on kind of fastback style, or like you know, Surly's and everything does now. It just goes right in fastbacks. That's interesting. We messed it up or cut it short. Had to make another one. That happens sometimes. Here's another. At least this looks like it might be a matching set. Patina's the same. The ends are not the same. 2 different size ends. Okay, a bunch of mismatched stays. Got it, got it, got it. All mismatched stays. Probably won't use them. Or might, if I wreck a stay and this happens to basically match. That's interesting. Here is another round with a dimple. Ooh, does this match? Does this match? The dimples match. The length's the same. They look the same. Tina's exactly the same. Here's a match set of stays. So a little dimple for your tire clearance. They're not light. Maybe they're for a touring bike with the dimples and all. Give you a little extra room. Oh, here is another one of these crowns with the Zeus 2000 whatever brazed onto a steer. Maybe he's doing a little batch of these. Here is another raked fork blade. The ends match. Patina matches. I'm thinking this might be a pair. Woohoo! Woohoo! These look like fork blades. Patina matches. We don't actually know if the rake matches or the weight matches. They're both silver. This one's fully domed and then it's been slotted. This one's got a very weird dome. This is like a needle point. But it hasn't been slotted. They both look. There must be heat from the slot. Do not know if these are matching. It really might be. Here's another fully round, or round oval round. Does it match this guy? A little bit, kinda, not really. Nah, it's not the same length, it's not the same nut. Real close. Here is an oversized tube, 4130, 31/8 thick. Why is there a 31/8 just super thick tube? 31/8 is like a down tube for oversized bikes. Maybe it's for tandem. It's very thick. It is very heavy. Oversized bikes use a 36 millimeter head tube. I think standard bikes use a 31/8. It's definitely too small. It's thicker. I don't actually know what this tube is. It might be a real thick head tube for Phillip brazing or some weird tandem thing. Here's another steer. It's pretty long. It used to have some markings on it. It's been sanded and re-oiled. Trying to see if it's got the Columbus stamp on it. I don't see it. Nothing on the inside, so no clue what that steer is. It's got another chunk of head tube. Another steer. It's a little shorter. You can see the Columbus logo. No rifling. No clue. Another fork blade looks just like the one I found another matching set of. Same patina, the same like draw marks from being drawn out. Hopefully we'll find another match. Oh, here's another fork blade. That does look like a match. Oh yeah, same end, same patina, same really skinny, long, weird draw marks on it. This is a match. Couple of more fork legs. This one's also the long drawn out like those other ones. This one is different. Here's another round stay with a dimple. And this dimple does not look like any of the other ones so far. So I'm thinking maybe he had different dimpling tools over the years, or more likely it was pre-dimpled from the factory. So different tubes had slightly different dimples, or from different brands or companies or different years. Changes get made. Oh, there's another long drawn out fork blade and another long drawn out fork blade. So this is another matching set. Beautiful, beautiful. This is another set of fork blades. It's the same thing. They're the same shape, same color, same length, same kind of draw marks and patina marks. And someone had already taped them together at some point. Columbus fork legs. Another pair, so lots of fork legs. I'll probably never have to buy fork legs again for normal road forks. Because I mostly use the Columbus long taper rando blade now. And then disc blades are completely different. And if I go the ultralight stuff, I use the Kaise ultralight Imperial oval blades. So not a lot of call for regular fork blades anymore. If I do track stuff or a road remake fork, A little bit of that. Oh, these are all taped together in one big giant pile. It says Columbus, chainstays. Some scribble marks, maybe 4/6 or something. So he thinks that these are all the same and matching. I don't know if I agree with that. The ends are slightly different. Tina's a little different. It's pretty much the same. So these are just kind of heavy Columbus, fully round chainstays, which again might make great track fork blades for all those undersized crowns. Buying in, all taped together. Let's keep them together. Here's another pile of taped together Columbus. These are round, oval, round, round, oval, round. No, and this one is just fully round. So these are taped together, but probably should not be. Couple more, round, oval, round. Very skinny, very long pencil skinny. I thought all the pencil stays were, oh, it just says 22-9 chain stays, isn't right? Columbus on here. So there's a good chance these are Reynolds. Fully round, yeah, the Reynolds like to do the pencil stays that are really long and thin. Absolutely gorgeous. That's kind of hot. That's kind of hot. I know another builder here in town, Bob Bantam, he bought a bunch of Reynolds pencil stay seat stays. He said, I looked at them, they didn't seem as skinny as I thought. I've seen some Reynolds pencil stays that were literally barely the thickness of a pencil until I got down the dropout. But maybe I just need to look at them again. I did get some new old stock seat stay caps for those undersized stays. Yeah, on eBay's got a bunch right now for like $14 for 2 pairs instead of 1 pair. But they're only for those ultra skinny Reynolds things. Here is a couple of more stays with giant dimples. But they've already been hacked on. They're cut up. They're cut too short. Why are they cut through? I don't know. Maybe he brazed it into a bike and then decided he wanted it out. Maybe he just wanted a little extra chunk of the tube for something. The dimples are cool. They're real long and weird. But I really don't know what to do with these. They kind of might just be recycling. Here's another set. This has a crack in it. Looks like maybe he was trying to dimple it himself. He was trying to practice dimpling with a hammer. God, it's just beat up and broken. Not into it. I might save these because I do know that sometimes guys will have a bike with a broken stay or something, or an old weird cheap bike with stamped steel stays that are broken. Sometimes the frames will overcut some of this out and slip this over their too short tube to sort of make a tube over a tube, like an extension, and then, you know, miter it and raise it a nice dropout. I've seen guys do that, putting campy dropouts in old Schwinn's and things. But I might just recycle them because it's, well, I have a bunch of junk. I already have a big giant bin of junk tubes that Destroy Bikes gave me. Here's another round, oval, round pencil stay. I might have a match for it down there. These are all labeled chainstay with dimple, 400 mil. The dimples are big. 4 of them. Dimples are big. It is also different from this dimple. He didn't tape them with all the dimples out, so I honestly can't tell, but it looks like there's 2 matching sets. Man, I got all the round chainstays I'm gonna need for a long time because I don't use round chainstays anymore, but Rene Hurst is trying to make it the thing again. He thinks it's stiffer. He's making a special bottom bracket shell that kicks out wide, and then he's selling these with a little bit of English, you know, bent into them. So I might start using round chainstays again. I went oval in the first place, the oval and the big dimples, so you could fit fat tires and skinny little road bottom brackets with narrow cranks. Low Q factor, they call it. But this is the last of the things. 2 sets of big dimple stays. These 3 weirdo things that absolutely do not match. Oh? Yeah, do not match. pull these all apart and put them in my pile and see if I can make any pairs and tape them together. Because this one's fully round and the other two are round oval, but the patina matches on these, but they're not the same. So we got us some bike parts. I need to make some road and or track frames out of these. A lot of track crowns. Got a lot of these blades. Got some steers, some lugs and things. It's a shame people don't care about track bikes anymore. They're really, really sexy. They're super cool. Anyways, that's basically my video. I'm going to go through and do all of this over again when I get to the shop. Or at least to these matching sets. Measure them and label them, clean the inside of the tubes, and try and mic them right and check them for butts and see what stuff really is and mark it up. I'll spend hours doing that. So I guess that's it for the video. Unless you guys want to stick around and see me make sets, which sounds boring, but I have this big pile of stuff that, hoping there's a few sets in there, probably a lot of singles. Wah, wah, not fun. No one wants singles. What am I going to do with a bunch of singles? I guess sometimes it's good to have, I have 3 sets of these blades with 1 extra. It's good in case I mangle or one or something. Cut it too short, do something silly. Does this have a Columbus stamp right on it down by the bottom? I've never seen that before. That's pretty cool. Around the blade, it's barely showing up. It's like you can only see it the patina. Anyways, thanks for watching. So dirty.